Like many people, I started baking during the pandemic to pass the time. During the lockdown, I happened upon sourdough baking, and after some trial and error, I fell in love with the process. At home, I made sourdough pretzel bread, bagels, stuff like that. But now, I mainly make sourdough loaves in my mom's bread machine. Let's clean the basket and get started. You will need a kitchen scale, a bread machine basket, oil, flour, honey or sugar, salt, and a sourdough starter. Oh, okay, put it down. Yes. Is the angle good there? Yes, okay. You're also going to need a spoon. I didn't say that, but you're going to need a lot of spoons. Put the basket on the scale and start adding water. I am pretty sure that is the last thing I forgot to mention. All the ingredients go in the basket. The order doesn't matter, so let's just talk while I make the bread. When I started baking, everything about it was satisfying. Caring for my starter, Margaret, weighing ingredients, stretching dough, and eating the final product were all a lot of fun. I was excited about this new thing I could do. However, when I shared my fun new hobby with my extended family or my friends, I always got a similar response. I heard, "Find a good husband," and "Find a man that appreciates you for it." And I felt kind of embarrassed. I felt like I'd lost a fight I didn't know I was a part of. I was being praised for these wifely habits that would benefit a man I hadn't met, and it left me feeling like I had failed to be the strong woman I wanted to be. I felt like I was being a modern, educated woman the wrong way by not rejecting these traditionally feminine activities. Realistically, the problem was inconsequential. It was never that deep. It was a hobby. Spoiler alert, I recovered from this crisis brought on by bread. Feeling embarrassed about not being or doing things the best or right way is normal. I think these are the things we build ourselves out of. That tension is how we decide how much we really want to do or be something. Like, back to talking about bread. When you make bread, you knead and stretch the dough to create these chains of gluten that make the dough stretchy and hold air. Those are two things that help it rise higher in the oven. Basically, you have to put tension into the bread dough to help it rise. Now, how does that relate to people? Every crisis of confidence, every hobby, every phase we go through makes the chains that connect our whole. By challenging ourselves and persevering through adversity, we strengthen those chains, and we put ourselves under tension. It's like a spring. If there is no tension, how can we rise? On the other hand, bread dough also has to rest. If you put too much tension on the gluten strands, if you overwork your dough, it will tear and break. And if the bread is too tense, it also won't rise properly. Leaving the bread alone for a bit allows the bread to rest, relax, and rise. Every boundary we set, every activity we pursue for enjoyment, and every break we take helps us care for our whole. If there is no rest, how can we rise? That's the balance you play with when you're making bread. Tension and rest. That's the balance we wrestle with when trying to find ourselves. Unfortunately, there is no definite answer. There is no recipe to make yourself or to make one specific sourdough loaf the way it looks on TV. The balance for bread depends on personal preference, ingredients used, recipe guidelines, the literal weather, and a whole other laundry list of things. As for people, that's something everyone has to work out on their own. Of course, having a little snack doesn't hurt the process. Unless you can't eat gluten, then having this snack will hurt your process. Please do not eat this bread if you can't eat gluten.